Hey everybody, Coach Gabe here, and welcome to Parkour Practice at the Cave. Today I'm just going to give you some suggestions of what you can practice today. And today's suggestions are going to start out with a warm-up, as per usual, but then instead of doing our usual set of 4 practices, we're going to focus on one specific practice and get really in-depth on that. And then as per usual, we'll finish off with a cooldown. For the warm-up, we'll start out with our QMs, or quadrupedal movements. Then we'll move on to our BMs, or bipedal movements, and then we'll finish it off with some mobility. For our main practice today, we'll be working on our turn vaults and eventually our palm spins, and then if you can do those, I'll show you a cool variation you can do that will help you work towards your 540 palm spin if you want to try to get those. Alright, so the first QM we're going to do is the inchworm. To do this, start out in a plank position, and then walk your feet forwards until you get into a downwards dog, or as close to a pike as you can. Then walk your hands out so you get back into a plank position, and then repeat that forwards and backwards. Up next we have our machines. A machine is kind of a complicated trick, so I'm going to break it down real quick. You're going to take either your right or left hand. You're going to reach across your body to the opposite foot and replace that opposite foot with that hand. So that means that if I use my right hand, I replace my left foot. If I use my left hand, I replace my right foot. And then from there, you're going to replace your other foot with your other hand, which means that if I went with my right hand to replace my left foot, then for the second one, I'm going to use my left hand to replace my right foot. And then you're going to spin around on your hands, and your feet will replace your original hands. This is a great thing to practice for when we move on to our turn vaults and our palm spins. When you're doing these, it's really helpful to really swing that first foot that you replace back as you replace it, so you can get a bit of momentum going into your spin, and you don't have to get into a handstand. Alright, lastly we have our Spiderman walks. To do your Spiderman walks, you start out in a cat plank, and then you take the first step of the cat plank, moving the opposite hand and opposite foot forward, then you do a push-up, then you come up and do the second step, and so on and so forth. As per usual, do it forwards and backwards. Alright, so up next we have our BMs. We're going to start out with tuck jumps. So to do your tuck jumps, just jump and bring your knees up to your chest, and then make sure you don't throw yourself backwards and land on your back, and also don't bring your chest down too much. Try to focus on using your core to bring your legs up. That'll be very helpful. Up next we have perhaps the wackiest BM I've ever seen. Andre came up with it. It's pretty cool. Here's what you do. You start facing the direction you want to go. You stand on one leg, then reach the other leg behind and forwards in front of that leg, as far forward as you can. Then you twist, so you're facing backwards, do a lunge, and then keep twisting, back up to your feet, and now you have a new foot in the front, and you do the exact same movement. And if this one's very confusing to you, just do it forwards and don't bother about doing it backwards, because it's just going to get more confusing. But if you can do it, give yourself a challenge and do it backwards. As you can tell, it's quite a wacky movement. Up next we have lunge heel touches. So for this, you just do your normal lunge walk, and then when you go down in the lunge, you reach behind and touch your opposite hand to your back foot. So if my right foot's in the back, I touch it with my left hand. If my left foot's in the back, I touch it with my right hand. Make sure you engage your core on this one because it's very balance focused. Now we're moving on to our mobility. We're going to start out with wrist circles. Take your hands, put them together like this, interlock the fingers, and do circles. And make sure you go in both directions while you're doing this. So once you feel like you've gotten a good stretch in one direction, go the other direction, into the other kind of wrist circles. Put your wrists together, keep your wrists touching without letting your elbows touch. Go the other direction. Up next we have calf raises. So for your calf raises, it's like a normal calf raise, where you want to focus on engaging your calf, but also go down as far as you can so you can get a bit of a stretch too. And when you're doing these, just really focus on trying to get that stretch and engaging at the top to flex your calf. Alright, lastly we have our kicks. We have three different kinds of kicks. We have our forwards and backwards kicks. Our forwards and backwards kicks where we open up on the back, and we have our side-to-side kicks. Do these on both legs. Alright, we got our main practice for today now. We're going to be working on our turn vaults and our palm spins. So when you're doing these, you need to be able to hold 3 positions. The first position you need to be able to hold is a front support. And you need to be able to hold this and then go from a front support into a lunge on a block. So to do this, go from your front support, lift your leg up to the side. Then you need to be able to go from this lunge into a cat plank on top, and then a lunge on the other side, and then a front support on the other side. And then you're going to do all this quickly, and it's going to turn into what's going to become your turn vault. It's probably a better idea to do this on something a bit more solid, but I don't have access to anything else and it's raining, so I can't do this outside. In terms of hand placement, you need to choose the direction you're going to spin around. And then, so for example, I spin around my left hand, right here. So I have my left fingers facing me, my left palm facing away from me, like so, and I'm spinning to my left, and then my other hand is placed facing the other direction on the other side of the block, and I jump over. And that's your turn vault. To turn your turn vault into a palm spin, you need to have a corner. So I got a corner right here, nice and handy for me. And what basically you're gonna do is you're gonna do your turn vault, but then try to get past the edge and over to the corner. And then from there, you're just gonna keep working it back closer and closer, jumping more and then rotating more and more around your wrist instead of just kind of going around and landing on the ground. And eventually you're gonna get all the way around and land back essentially where you started. As you cross over your bar hand, the hand that's further away from you, you need to take it off the block because it's mainly just there to keep you away from the block as you get started. Afterwards you need to take it off because you can't rotate past it. Once you've made it all the way back around to where you started, take it to the middle of the block and do it in the middle. That way you actually have to clear over. And if you feel like you're not gonna make it, just place your foot on the block and go into a step vault. Again, this is a lot easier on something that's hard, so the palm spins aren't great on this. Spend a while working at this one. Remember to be safe and have fun. Also, once you've got it, there's a special challenge you can do, which is basically it's a palm spin, but it's a machine. So instead of placing your inside hand down, you actually place your outside hand down, cross across your body. If you're spinning to your left, you put your right hand down in the same orientation so the fingers are facing you. So this time your elbows are going to be pointing away from you instead of pointing towards you. And then you're going to jump over and then place your second hand down after you pass where the second hand should go instead of before you get there. So your support comes at the end of your palm spin, not at the start of your palm spin. This eventually turns into a 540 palm spin, but I don't have the setup to work on that right now, unfortunately. So those are some things you can play around with, and once you've been fully satisfied with the workout you've gotten and maybe you've made some good progress and you've gotten some of these moves, it's time to cool down. Okay, moving on to our cool down. Today we're just going to do some static stretching. We're going to start out with a standing wall pike for 60 seconds, and then we'll do an elevated pigeon for 30 seconds on each side, and then we'll finish it off with sitting or standing shoulder extensions. For the standing pigeon, focus on sticking your butt out, keeping your back straight, and really getting into the stretch. Again, the pain should be uncomfortable, but not very painful. For the standing pigeon, go on the ground, and bring your pigeon stretch like you're on the ground, except on an elevated surface. And then you can stand, or if you feel flexible enough, start to get into it. Do this for 30 seconds on each side. So what you do for your shoulder stretch is you take your wrists, grab behind you, lift them up, and then hold it for 60 seconds. And then as per usual, stay safe and have fun.